Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. We got a great show lined up for you tonight. Before we get to that, enjoy this. Oh, nothing happened. Okay. Here we go. Let's try this. All right. We already got some participation. There's a comment. We'll get to those in a minute. Before we do that, let's take care of some quick business. This disclaimer is always fun to watch. Check this out. Now, for the serious part, and this is especially important given the topics we are going to discuss tonight, including anything related to High and Tight LLC or Mo High Tight or cannabis in general. Do not believe a single word I say, or anything my co-hosts say. Do not believe anything my guests say, without doing your own homework and consulting with qualified professionals. Seriously, we are here to entertain, provoke thought, and to share our perspectives. We are not offering medical, legal, or financial advice. The world of cannabis, particularly in Missouri, is very complex, with evolving laws and personal considerations that can vary. The internet is vast, libraries exist, and critical thinking along with checking local regulations is your best friend. So, listen, enjoy, but always do your own research and consult with experts when making important decisions. Do not take my advice. I am only slightly informed. Best disclaimer ever. All right. Okay. So tonight we got a great show lined up. We have an actual couple of cannabis nerds on the show. Besides me, also a cannabis nerd. First off, we'd like to bring on my co-host who's been on the show before, Dr. Jeff. Hey, Dr. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Would you care to share any contact information or tell any people about anything you got going on?
Absolutely, yeah. So my name is Jeff. I'm a chemist, and you can find me on LinkedIn at Jeff Rawson, and on Instagram, we're at cansci.org. That's all spelled out like CANNSCI.org. And we are, I'm the chair and founder of the Institute of Cannabis Science. It's a consumer protection organization for cannabis. So whether you know it or not, you need us. And you can find us at cansci.org, CANN.SCI.org.
I was creeping around on Dr. Jeff's LinkedIn today, and he posted an amazing video about the Orange Box doing field testing. That was a great video. Those are fun to watch. So basically what it is, it's the Light Labs. It's a little portable box where you can take and go into the field and do tests for THC and THCA. And I don't think it tests for terpenes, does it?
It tests for a fair enough. It tests for cannabinoids, and it'll give you a general level of terpenes, but it can't
Okay.
get more specific.
But it's interesting I think the test is it accurate to within like 2%, I think, if I remember correctly.
It's accurate enough for flower.
Yes, for sure. Well,
And
for sure.
definitely for consumers. I mean, fit to purpose is a big concept, right? So that's something we can ask Darwin about, actually. Darwin knows a lot about fit to purpose.
Well, we will definitely get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
The point of my comment was that it was very interesting to see how much difference there was between what's on the label from the stuff they were testing that came from the dispensary and what the machine said. Like sometimes more than 10% difference. Quite a spread
right.
there.
Yeah. It can be
And if
quite
there's a margin of plus or minus 2%, and the lab they got theirs tested at is plus or minus 2%, that's too wide. There's something not right there. Those numbers don't add up.
right. Yeah. Well, that's a complicated subject, so we can.
It is.
Yeah.
Speaking of complicated subjects, we got the logic on deck here. We got Darwin Millard. Did I get your name right, Millard?
Yeah, you did, Dave.
Right on. Okay. I've heard it pronounced a couple different ways. I wanted to make sure I got it right. The Spock of Cannabis. We met recently at MJ Unpacked in St. Louis. At the same time I met Dr. Jeff. Oh, good times. Darwin was doing a 3-hour marathon session where he was. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. I would like for you to
Great,
take
you're at
this
my workshop.
opportunity to introduce yourself and also provide any contact information. Tell people what you're doing.
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks, Dave. I really appreciate being a guest on the podcast. My name is Darwin Millard. I'm the technical director for Cannabis Safety and Quality. We are an accredited safety and quality process certification program for cannabinoid product manufacturers. So we're like GMP for weed, basically. You can find find us on LinkedIn at CSQ Cannabis Safety and Quality. So it's actually all of those. I know it's a little wonky at CSQ Cannabis Safety and Quality. And then you can also follow me at Darwin Millard or hop onto our website, which is csqcertification.com, or shoot me an email at the letter D for Darwin, my last name Millard, which is MILLARD at csqcertification.com. And yeah, like I said, we are GMP for weed, but we also do good agricultural collection practices for the cultivation side. And really, we're the looking to become the world's most trusted source for cannabis safety and quality management systems for the entire supply chain.
Nice. I actually had an interesting conversation online today, and this will kind of tie in with what we're doing later. But I was actually able to speak to a topic online about a post that I posted, and somebody brought up a method that's used to fix cannabis and remediation if it's got maybe excessive bacteria where it's irradiated and it kills the bacteria. Well, I learned during your speaking session that you may have killed the bacteria, but there still could be problems with that weed in the form of toxins left behind by those bacteria. So thank you for informing me. I was able to sound like I actually knew what I was talking about online today.
Well, I appreciate you coming to that workshop and that we did partnership with MJ Unpacked. It was a great opportunity. It was our second workshop that we've done for Missouri market license operators, and we're excited actually to be hosting another one coming up for the MoCan Q4 event on the 17th of November, actually, that you can sign up for if you're a MoCan member for free. It's an add-on to the registration for the event.
It's going to be in Springfield, isn't it? I think.
That's correct. Yep, yeah. It'll be in Springfield. And yeah, actually, our workshop will be before the welcoming mixer the night before. So if you're a Missouri licensed operator and you're looking to really learn more about the quality management system requirements for the state and how CSQ conforms with those and how you can be in compliance with those state requirements, we'd love you to come out to that workshop. It'll be from 4 to 7 on the November 17th, like I said, and registration on the MoCan website.
Did I see that you're also going to be at BizCon?
Yeah. I get to speak 3 times this year, I guess.
Oh, okay. I thought so.
I'm finally lucky that they started to book the big shows, right, Jeff?
Are you going to be there too, right, Doctor?
No, I won't be at BizCon this year.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, I have some exciting news. There's a good chance I'll be there. I was granted a scholarship for the Social Equity Scholarship, and I won. I applied and I won, so I got a ticket to BizCon, but that's just part of the expense. So hopefully I'll be there, and if I am, we definitely need to link up, Darwin.
Sure.
And I'll probably be at some of your speaker sessions, so that'll be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm doing the Business 101 forum on day 1, right, December 2nd. I'll be moderating a great panel there that'll hopefully give everybody insights about starting up an extraction or product manufacturing operation. And then I'm speaking on Thursday and Friday on some other topics. One's on clean label, if I remember correctly, and then there's another one there that'll come up at some point, I'm sure.
Holy shit, man. Darwin has so many MJ Biz talks, he can't even remember them all.
Wow.
My goodness, man. How does it feel to be so famous?
Wow. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I mean,
Only
getting to
this,
the questions.
only this year have people actually started coming up to me. But I think
Oh, really?
yeah.
Well, I'm telling you what, brother, being on this podcast is going to just put you over the top.
There you go.
People are just going to be coming out of the woodwork after this.
Came
Like,
to the right
and
place.
even to me, they're going to be like, "Oh my God, you know Darwin? Can I have your autograph?" I'll be like,
That's
"No,
hilarious.
calm down, people.
It's true.
I've
It's true. I
sprained
got
my
like 3
writing hand from
followers
too many
just
autographs."
I got like 3 followers just from posting that I'm going to be involved in this show with you, Darwin.
Ha!
I'm pretty sure it was from you.
Awesome. Hey, I want to invite everybody to participate in the chat. Please chime in with questions for Darwin or Dr. Jeff about any of this topic matter. We have an actual couple real science type of people on the podcast that can answer science type questions. Speaking of
Especially
questions,
Darwin.
let's dive into it. Actually, you know what? Before we get to that, I'll introduce myself. I'm Dave. If you want to get in touch with me, you can find me at mohightight@gmail.com. Call me at 573-818-9985. Nobody calls me. I'm David Huckins on LinkedIn or Facebook. Look for my Facebook page, High and Tight LLC. You can actually see the podcast or the live stream there also, or 420 High Tide on Instagram. We're streaming to Instagram also, and I'd love to talk to you. So call me, get in touch with me. I'm seeking sponsors. I need money. Help me. Okay, so to kick things off here, same question I ask all my guests. Please tell me what you feel comfortable sharing about your first cannabis experience.
Yeah, sure. It was peer pressure.
Really?
Well, I mean, I guess what else would you call that, right? But I was with a group of friends over at another friend's house, right? We busted out the weed, and that was that. That was when I was 14.
14. Wow. So what happened? You were with this group of juvenile delinquents, right? And then they're all like, "Hey, we got some stuff we want you to try." And you're like, "I've done that a million times," right? Were you trying to play it off, or you trying to be all cool?
I don't remember.
It must have been a good time.
I'm old now,
Right, yeah.
David.
Yeah. I'm not sure I believe that. So did you smoke this cannabis, a pipe, a joint, or
Out of the pipe. So I became a person in adolescence, right? In Colorado. Colorado kids smoke out of pipe.
Gotcha.
At least white kids did.
Okay.
Sophisticates, yes.
Right. So after your first try, were you totally hooked? Were you like, this is what I'm doing? I want to do this all the time, or how did it evolve from there?
That one's a good question, whether it was the first time, but I definitely quickly fell in love with cannabis. And when I turned 18, I had a chance to travel to Amsterdam, and that was my first introduction to hash. And really from there, I think that's what cemented it, or whatever was in the back of my mind about whatever was going to happen going forward. Where my passion has always been into the trichomes at that point, where it was flower before, but then really it became everything, all the grid stuffs in the trichomes, and you can make hash, and hash gets you really high, right? And so I guess learning more about traditional extraction methods or collection methods was really where my passion was, where my head was going in college. And I happened to go to CU Boulder, and happened to meet the great Nick Tannum, the founder of Essential Extracts and father of the term solventless, or really, I don't know, really making that the thing that it is maybe kind of today, or at least being one of the major founders of that. I had an amazing opportunity to meet him in college, and we became great friends and like started hash extraction. And like I said, things just kind of evolved from there, and my passion grew and got deeper. And what it's like almost 18 years now, and I wouldn't change anything for the world in regards to career, right? Working in industry, being part of cannabis, and everything. Yeah, obviously been a consumer for a lot longer.
I think this is an interesting question. You're known for a logical, data-driven approach to what you do with your work. Where does that analytical mindset come from? Can you trace that back to your early days? Have you always been kind of like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for
Hmm.
sure. Absolutely. I don't know. I've always just kind of been like, hey, you're supposed to do homework, right? And you study and you get it done, and then so I was very attuned to math, science. Those things came very, very easily to me. And then um, uh, things like English, right, and writing skills came a little bit slower, but they came eventually. But when it came to science data and really kind of being able to connect the dots before really even knowing everything came very second nature. And that was almost, from a young age.
Hmm. Interesting. I most of my career has been in doing computer science. So I used to put computer networks together for the Army, and then I'd install operating systems and software, and then I'd assemble these networks and train soldiers how to use these computer systems. But I wasn't like that in my early age at all. I was not very analytical, and that was something. It was tough for me to learn, like the scientific process and so forth. But I also was a combat medic, so that kind of feeds into kind of some of what you guys do. Knowing, uh, being comfortable with sterile procedures and wearing protective equipment and those kind of things. Measuring medications and milliliters and so forth. We all do that kind of stuff. So let's see. When you first encountered cannabis culture, what were your initial logical observations?
That's a great question because I'm not sure if there's really a cannabis culture anymore because
Ooh.
it all kind of birthed out of being counterculture, right? And a part of what you do because it was taboo or you're going against a man or your parents told you not to, right? Or maybe a combination of all of those type of things.
That was actually why I waited so long to smoke weed.
Yeah, right. So it's like
To
so I don't really
be kind of
know.
contrarian, yeah. Go ahead, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I first enjoyed smoking cannabis with friends, right? And I associate that with the communal bond of being with friends. True, sure, there might have been a little bit of peer pressure to it. But, that's what adolescent males do, right? You pressure yourself into doing stupid stuff,
Yeah.
whether
Make bad decisions. Yeah.
whether it's in Colorado or wherever else, right? But here we climbed mountains and jumped off cliffs into water or into snow, right? Um,
Right.
and then again, right? I think with normalization, right, that we've had, there's such a shift now in really what that is. So, yeah, I don't know if I have a good answer for you, David, in regards to what was my first experience to weed culture, right? When I don't know what weed culture is.
Hmm.
Well, think about think about like
I guess it's
the people.
hashish.
Think about the
That's
people who
different.
you typically see maybe at like conferences or the people you associate with a lot, like in sort of that uh, that limnic space between professional and personal, right? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, there is still like sort of like maybe like a set of people who we would think of as kind of like cannabis culture, but
yeah.
yeah.
Again, I think it's more of counterculture because anyone whom I would call that what was cannabis culture is now psychedelics culture.
Yeah.
Ooh,
which I think
interesting
is
observation.
which I think is something, again, is not the same. It's different, right? Now, what certainly has a culture and goes back thousands of years is the usage of hash, again, and hashish, and traditional preparations, and that's where my love has always been, and where my passion is at, and there is that has an aura around it, right? When you're preparing your own mechanical separated resins, when you're doing that either in a traditional fashion or a more modern fashion, and you're consuming that either through a traditional chillum or a more modern dab apparatus, right? Something like that. Your primary purpose is to collect and enjoy the resin glands, right? And that's a labor of love, no matter really how you go about doing it, whether it's with some of the newer, fancier technologies that we have that always do make it easier, right?
Mhm.
But it still takes a lot of work and a good artisan technician, right, to still prepare these. And I think that's why I see that as a true culture of people who are looking to both those who grow cannabis for that purpose and do mechanical separations and solventless extractions for the production of either uh, full melt, 6-star hash or whatever, which is super rare nowadays. You don't really see that. People just express all the oils out of the resin glands now, right? Make rosin. But you see incredible rosins of various different consistencies, right? And what people have been able to figure out by just manipulating either thermal modulation, right, temperature or pressure modulations, you can get a number of the same consistencies, if not all, from something that started from a solvent, right? And so if you can start to get these and produce them where you're not introducing other solvent steps, you really start to catch up on the cost of goods side. And I know that's a lot of different, but my passion is with solventless, and I will always kind of be there. And again, that was a long-winded way to talk about culture, and I think hash culture exists for sure, and it definitely depends on where you are in the region around the world. India is the one, and Morocco I'm most familiar with, but I know there are other hash cultures certainly out there.
So that's so interesting, and it makes me think of a question about like how how did you go from this passion for very traditional hash collection, right? I mean, you literally describe it as collection, right? So it's descriptive of like the bespoke and traditional approach, right? To I mean, you do have you have studied some chemical engineering, right? Like and developed some systems, right?
Oh, yeah, so yeah, that's kind of funny. So I went to school for mechanical engineering, graduated as a mechanical engineer, and
Hmm.
as a mechanical engineer in 2008, yeah, 2008, the options were, right, jump into the oil and gas industry and design slurry pumps
Right,
for
yeah, because
fracking.
you're from Canada, right? So,
Colorado.
um,
Well,
oh no, Colorado. All right, yeah, yeah.
so, but really, for mechanical engineers in general, in 2008, your options were, it was really heavy industry, right, and do some type of on-site 3 to 5 year intern program, and that's kind of the traditional way you go through, and that would be either in slurry pumps, mining, right, big heavy industry, or oil and gas of some kind, and those were all industries that raped the planet, and that was nothing I wanted to have anything to do with.
Sure.
So I jumped
Yeah.
head first into my passion, right, which was cannabis. Um, and how do I, very honestly, fuel my personal consumption, which Jeff, is very high.
Prodigious. Let's just say prodigious.
How do I fuel that, right, when without having to, spend much money? And when back in the day in Colorado, you had caregiver models, right? And you had 50-50 splits or processing models and all of that. And so that's how I did it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you just put yourself up as a processor, and that 50 split is your supply, right? Like,
But you're back to your question, Jeff. Yeah, but I was always, it's really super funny, big advocate of CO2 extraction. I knew right away digging into kind of what you can do with pressure again and temperature modulation, right, of certain solvents, trying to be clean, etc.
supercritical CO2 is super neat. Yeah.
It's very cool, awesome
It's
concept,
so
right?
interesting.
Scale, it makes tons of sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but like the way it works is also like the concept is awesome, but also right, like the way it works, the way you can modulate it is really cool.
Super
Like,
cool.
yeah.
Unfortunately, applications, right? Doing it in practice in the cannabis industry, right? Because people were all about CO2 in the beginning, and now nobody does really CO2 at all anymore. That's because it's slow. Super, super slow, right? And that's because small systems, to make them fast, are really expensive.
Yeah.
And a comparable hydrocarbon system in like scale is much cheaper and exponentially faster. So it just, even though you've got crazy selectability, you can isolate individual cannabinoids, you can remove fats and waxes, you can do all sorts of fun chemistry with CO2. I think what's interesting, though, is that the hydrocarbon folks have caught up a lot. Like with the right systems, with the right medias now being used, these hydrocarbon systems are just giant prep chromatography units now. Especially with some of the inline chromatography stuff, you can attach onto the systems now, right? And get live readings.
Yeah, what's evolved with those systems? That sounds really interesting.
So they're using basic UV detectors, right? And then you need something that can read that data. So it really is, Jeff, like super rudimentary prep chromatography. The media, right? You can see a peak go by and you can turn a valve and collect that one, right? You see
Yeah, oh,
another.
and you mean like a packing phase within like a distillation column?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's we heard of it as people were doing color remediation, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So,
that's
David, if you've ever visited like a distillery, right, where they make liquor, right, you may have seen one of these big brass apparatuses, right, and that's their still. And in a distillery like that, they usually use kind of like a sequential kind of a plates kind of a system, with like different levels, sort of like, or different bulbs, something like that, right? So this is sort of like a similar idea, I think, right, Darwin? Like, but
in this
but
case
in
it
a
is,
hydrocarbon system, yeah,
but it's much more like chromatography, quite literally, where
yeah. Sounds
once
like
it
it.
exits the material bed, the plant material bed, right, it enters absorption media column, just a
Yeah,
solid phase, like because it's in a liquid phase already, right? All non-polar, right?
yeah.
Wipe that through your polar phase, stationary or solid, and bam, out go fats and waxes. Like you
Well,
manipulate that with a few different
yeah.
columns, and you literally have inline chromatography now. And I'm just saying that, like,
Mhm.
hydrocarbon has quickly caught up because CO2 at our scale, right, at the small mom and pop operator, right, the not massive tonnage, because at tonnage, I would say playing around with explosive hydrocarbons at under pressure, right, even if it is low pressure, is still kind of sketchy, right? But if when you're not doing tons at a time, hydrocarbon is certainly way more energy efficient. But then you're talking, but the cost of the C1D1 environments to set them up right and then maintain them. That's where I think you start to lose the economics game over time.
Mm.
Sorry, we got way off your question.
No, that's okay. That was it. That's why I invited Dr. Jeff on the show. I thought you guys would probably have some interesting back and forth moments. So I
wanted
highly
Darwin to
encourage
have a
that.
chance to show off.
Yeah, well, basically, all of my knowledge about extraction is self-taught through pure interest and desire to get better, more efficient cannabis extracts made.
I'm gonna
again to selfishly fuel my consumption habit.
Personal consumption, which
We're
is
going to get
prodigious.
into a little bit of talk that'll jive well with what you just said here in a moment. But I want to ask a silly question. It's the elephant in the room. It's the question I don't know. I've never heard anybody ask you. How'd you get that crazy nickname?
Yeah, I kind of figured it was maybe how I get coined the Spock of Cannabis. It's because of the way I approach standards development through a very strictly scientific approach without really much bias to that. Though, of course, I am a consumer, so there's some bias in that respect. But I think it's more because over time and how I go through life really is like unapologetically direct. And I, as a consultant, I very quickly got in the habit of telling people what they needed to hear and not what they wanted to hear. And that, sometimes can come off rather cold and Vulcan-like. So hence I was coined the Spock of Cannabis.
Gotcha. I prefer a direct approach. And I want to hear the facts and I want to hear the accurate information, even if it's stuff that, I probably don't want to hear. If it's negative, I want to hear it anyway. That's how you deal with it, right? I'm going to play this brief commercial. We got to pay the bills here. I hope this is going to work right. Let's see what happens when I click this.
Is your life feeling empty? Lacking a certain spark? Are you suffering from a critical lack of Dave? You need more Dave in your life, and now you can get it with the Dave experience from the Weedcast. Just listen to these satisfied customers.
My life was so boring before Dave, but now I have Dave, and everything is Dave. Thanks, Dave.
That's right. With a sponsorship on the Weedcast, you can get all the Dave you can handle. Dave will talk about your brand. Dave will promote your event. Dave.
But seriously, if you have a brand or a service in the cannabis space and you want to get your message out to our amazing community, I'd love to partner with you. Sponsorship on this show is a direct line to a dedicated audience. Now.
I love it.
There we go. All right. Was that fun? What are you guys' initial thoughts?
I saw it on YouTube the other day.
Oh, did you?
Okay.
Nice.
Recognition.
Nice.
Brand recognition.
Perfect. So what did you think when you saw it on YouTube? I'm not apologizing for anything. I would just want everybody to know that up front.
I was like, oh, I know that guy.
All right. Awesome. Good times. Okay, so I wanted to bring this up. I caused a small firestorm on social media this week by challenging the belief that homegrown cannabis is always superior to commercial flower. What's your initial take on that?
So were you saying that? So that statement was that homegrown is always better, no matter what?
Yeah, I was. I had several posts where I was challenging people, specifically home growers. What's in your cannabis? Do you know what's in your weed? Do you know what's floating around in the air? Do you know what's in the water that you're giving your plants? So I was kind of challenging them like this, and a lot of them became quite defensive and said, "My weed's so much better. I don't spray it with anything. I know what's going in my weed." And I was like, "Do you really?" So that was kind of the essence of me bringing that up. So I was wondering what your take on that is.
Great question. So there is certainly really good in homegrown, and really good commercially grown product, right?
For sure.
There's more bad commercially grown products, since you certainly have more, I would say, commercial licensees really than you do home growers now in certain states, certainly, right? Certain states where the prices are the right metrics, where a homegrown really doesn't make sense anymore, right?
Okay.
But
Yeah.
back when there was that weed culture we were talking about, right? And certainly in the medical cannabis days, people took a lot of care and passion in producing the
For sure.
product they did. Were they always grown in the cleanest of places? Probably not. But was the intent there to produce a cleaner product? I think so. In a lot of cases, commercially, right? When you're trying to grow the money out of something, it can lose a lot of heart, right? So the size of the operation, I think you're starting to just produce a widget. Now that doesn't mean it's not better quality or is better quality, right? Or not. It's not either way. It's not a pro or a con against it, right? It just means that the intent is different. But I've been into some really, 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 really disgusting home grows,
Yeah.
like where people are just have exposed wood. They just tore up the carpet in the basement area, right? And didn't even decide to clean up. They just put raw pots on the ground or their hydro system, and there's not enough airflow. And you can just tell when you walk in that it's dank.
Animal
they
hair.
Yeah.
That's another one.
Yeah,
Wrong kind of dank.
let their dogs walk in, right? Or cats or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, but that happens in the commercial grows too, right?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So it's not really one better than the other. It's the same problems impact both type of operations.
Sure.
And at scale, and when you lose that culture of quality, right, and culture of safety and that type of stuff, when it becomes less of a passion to you, and at larger and larger scales, it becomes harder to control small things that can blow up into big issues.
Oh, those are great points. Yeah, I agree, man. Darwin, I like that you pointed out the logical fallacy at the heart of the question, because that is the same problem. Um, because, sure, I mean, look, is one always going to be better than the other? Like, of course not. One time, this really nice guy who grew his own at home, he gave me some of his weed. It smelled and tasted like hay, and it didn't have any THC.
Yes.
I mean, that happens. Sometimes you pick it at the wrong time. Nice try, rookie. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but anybody who's grown anybody who's grown any of their own herbs or tomatoes or whatever at home, that there's a certain kind of a pride that you get from it. There's a certain way in which the thing you get to pick it when it's actually ripe, which almost never happens, right? And you get to avoid all this commercial handling steps. Of course, you're going to have a chance at having something that's way different and better and a more interesting experience for yourself than just going to a store and buying something, right? But it doesn't mean you're always going to grow something that is quantitatively superior to what you find, right? And yeah, I don't know, but I also think that having growing some weed in your garage, just because it's a little dirty, it doesn't really matter that much.
True. Yeah.
Right, because you're at small scale, you're paying a lot of attention to those plants, you're keeping the space right around them really clean, right? They need that sterile facility because they got 100 times the plants maybe you got. So,
Yeah. I mean, in a big outdoor grow, right? I mean, dirt's gonna happen. Birds are gonna happen, right? I mean,
yeah.
In the end of the day, during the cultivation process, it's an agricultural crop, and it should be handled. The risks you're dealing with, right, are going to be adjacent to agricultural crops.
Yeah, it all changes at scale, right? That's the big difference that I think maybe is helpful in like to button up the concept of home grow, right? Is that like to grow 1 or 2 plants for like an amateur, like you can probably get pretty good results because like it's just 1 or 2 plants. But it's a big difference at scale. Everything changes.
Sure. And your problems multiply at scale too. You know what I mean? It's a lot harder to clean
Yeah,
up a mess when it's 1,000 plants or 100 plants than it is when
Yep.
this one's got some bugs on it. Maybe I'll move it outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got 4 fans, and that's great for your home grow, right? To maybe your 500 square foot room that you're growing in or whatever, right? But 4 fans probably isn't going to work in a room with even 10 or 30 plants, right? In comparison to something with 1 to 4.
It's been fun this week to challenge home growers with their claims that I know it's in my plant. I don't spray it with this or that, or well, there's hidden things that are going on that you might not know about. And did you test it? Do you really know? You know? And some people said yes, there are home growers that regularly test for mold, and they tested their water quality, and they're managing pests, and they're doing the stuff right, and they're probably getting good results. And it was just a thought provoking comments. A lot of people got bent out of shape. They thought I was taking the side of commercial growers, and I really wasn't. I was just making a comparison and trying to get people to think a little bit.
Yeah, if I had one piece of advice I would give home growers, is just test your media and your water for heavy metals. All right, just look out for that, just in case, right? And your dirt if you're growing outside. All right, because like that's one thing that like you can avoid pretty well, and you really want to. Yeah,
For
you
sure.
can control most of the rest of the stuff yourself. That's the one part that could happen out of your control.
That's great input. I was actually going to ask that same question. Darwin, answer that same question that Jeff just had answered. What was, if you could give our listeners one piece of advice that they're probably missing out on that would improve what they're doing, what would it be?
To improve what you're doing currently?
Yeah, as far as like if you're growing at home.
Oh, well, I will humbly admit I am not a grower and have no idea.
So Darwin's going to plead the fifth on this one. No experience. So you don't.
What about home?
What
about home extractors or producers?
Like I've grown a plant before, sure, but
Sure.
That's why I don't grow plants because I'm not good at it.
Yeah. I've had some friends that they just try really hard and like they accidentally feed their plants to goats and all kinds of terrible things happen. It just doesn't work out, for some people. And, you got to know your limitations. So exactly to Jeff's point, then what's something that you could share with our listeners about extraction?
If
somebody's trying to get started.
Yeah, sure. I mean, well, to your at-home question, Jeff was kind of alluding to, I would say don't do anything that's explosive, flammable, under pressure, or not under pressure. Those things shouldn't be done.
Try some solventless, homie. Get you some curling
shouldn't
iron.
be done at home.
Start there.
Yeah.
Right. Start with a curling iron. See how that works out, and then try
flower rosin. Right? Believe it or not, isn't so bad, right? And
yeah. You
can get a cheap press now, or even Jeff said, you can do the old school hair straightener.
Yeah. Hair iron.
Yeah, to make a trick to get yourself some flower rosin a couple times, right? But yeah, I would. That's kind of would be my at-home suggestion, is to stay away from things that go boom.
Don't do hydrocarbon at home as a hobbyist, guys.
Yeah, I mean, you could potentially do ethanol. Everybody's kind of familiar with Rick Simpson oil and stuff like that. And there are now at-home systems that can theoretically put that in more control. These are still things that you should never do inside, right?
Yeah.
Or in a closed area. You're still dealing with even ethanol, right? It's like Everclear, right? It's flammable.
You can make a flammable atmosphere. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Solventless, definitely. Yeah. You get to really learn a lot more about it, and get to appreciate. I think all the labor of love and what it takes to actually collect resin blends and make it good. Because
Does
it's
does it connect more with traditional approaches?
I think I certainly felt a connection with something different, right? Because it is different. There's a lot more to it. It's very easy to make bad hash. Very easy.
For sure. Yeah.
And it is not easy to make really good hash, though there are some great trainers out there now, some really great tools out there now, which make that substantially easier for the at-home enthusiasts, right? But what I would do for any new operator looking to get into this space, really looking to do that serious about getting cannabis at all, is to take a good hard look at good manufacturing practices, good agricultural and collection practices, and what those requirements are and how they impact your facility. Because all too often that's a second thought, and then it's going to be a requirement from your state. They change the rules like they always do, or federal legalization all of a sudden comes out of nowhere, right? And now the FDA finally stops saying they can't do anything about it, or the DEA, et cetera, right?
Nope. Sorry.
Yeah, how would that be? Your dream comes true. They federally legalize, and it puts
Right,
you out of business
your
'cause
dream
you're not
comes true,
fucking
and
PMP,
now the
homie.
FDA is coming in because they need to make some money. So they're like, well, let's go inspect and fine a whole bunch of cannabis operators because we know they're not GMP.
Isn't normalization great?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Watch out.
Exactly. So think about these things.
It's not all peaches and cream.
Yeah, even if it's a small thing, think about it now, because it will inevitably mean either big changes to your current facility, right, renovations, or moving facilities for a lot of people.
That was an interesting thing that I learned at your talk at MJ Unpacked.
Yeah.
They went into that a lot about how these different quality management things can, if you know up front and you follow these processes, if you need to have a sink here or a toilet there or an eye wash station there and you don't have it, but you just go ahead and start producing anyway when the state comes in and finds out you don't have those things. Those kind of things can be costly fixes to have to make later, as an example.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Not to mention if someone has an accident, then how are you going to feel?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's worst case scenario for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but
the
it
workplace
happens,
safety side, right? Workplace safety, worker safety, that side of it is certainly something that has been unfortunately overlooked. As much, I would say equally as much as basic best business practices like GMPs.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to ask you if you wanted to get into that a little bit, and let's do it. I mean, that's kind of going off the rails a little bit, but it's topically relevant. Yeah, go ahead and dive into that a little bit, Darwin.
I'm in respect to which part, David? I apologize.
Your different processes that you do with CSQ, the different certifications that you guys offer, and how those can benefit people. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Well, like I mentioned earlier, right, CSQ is an accredited safety and quality management process certification program. And our system just got updated. So on October 1st, we released CSQ 2.0 to the public, and we'll start to do audits to CSQ 2.0 in January 2026. So currently certified sites and new licensees have 3 months to get ready to go through their documentation, make sure everything's lined up and ready for actual CSQ certification to our new certification program. We updated our program to make it more modular and more flexible. So it has 3 levels now with progressively more stringent audit requirements that allow operators to conform to quality management systems that better fit their regulatory and business needs. So if you're in a market that is just wants you to implement requirements and you don't need to get a certification, then getting a CSQ certification might not be what you need to do right now. But implementing those requirements certainly is. And we can also help with all of that type of stuff there. But our program covers 5 standards. We have cultivation, extraction, manufacturing, warehousing and distribution, and retail. So it covers essentially all aspects of the supply chain from seed to sale. Our cultivation program conforms with GACPs, with good agricultural collection practices and good manufacturing practices. And it's really a program that conforms with requirements for both FSMA, the production of human foods, as well as agricultural production of human foods, which I think is 112. 21 CFR 112. And then as well as requirements from American Herbal Products Association for botanical raw materials, and conforms with the latest release of the EU GACP requirements for anybody who's looking to export their materials to different countries. So that's a pretty significant overhaul to that certification program. And our extraction and manufacturing programs are, of course, good manufacturing practices as their baseline. And they cover basically every aspect of producing raw materials and then turning those into all the products that we know and love. And our newest programs, warehousing, distribution, and retail, they kind of round it out to where if you're going to be giving this product that you spent so much time to make a great product, right? And you're now transferring it to a third party who's responsible for it to distribute it to a retailer or wherever it's going to go. You don't want them to say, for something to happen during transportation and all the liability of the issue of that product being put back onto you. So you want to make sure that when it's in their possession, right, they're liable for it. And for those operators who are taking possession, it kind of mitigates their risks by giving them solid safety quality management requirements for handling those materials. Especially at the retail location, right? If you got that great rosin, you probably want to have your retailer maybe storing it in a refrigerator. And you've got requirements like that set up in your seller agreements or whatever that is. These are ways for, again, the retailer to make sure that their CYA, right, on their end and maintain the product at their the highest quality that they can.
Well, sure. Yeah, for sure. You definitely, hopefully that's your goal, right? Is that you want to have a high quality product for your consumer.
Yeah,
and
you also want to protect your company from liability, right? Like, that is, or exposures, right? From problems. So,
Darwin, is there anywhere online do you have that course material that you did for the first hour and a half at MJ Unpacked? Do you have that anywhere online where people could see that? Because when we're just telling people about these processes and the certifications and stuff, it's all kind of dry. But if you actually hear Darwin present this material from start to finish, it's actually quite interesting, and you'll learn a lot.
I appreciate that, David, for sure. Yes, you can find all of our training courses on our website, csqcertification.com. Up at the top, there should be like the drop-down menus, and either under Stay Updated or Resources, you'll be able to find our training courses. The Cannabis Safety 101 course that I did during the workshop was there. But the presentation material actually that was given during the workshop are things that we do during free webinars that we host throughout the year. So that material is, like I said, the next opportunity to get that, to see that material for Missouri operators is going to be at the MoCan Q4 meetup in May in Springfield.
I highly recommend it. You don't want to miss Darwin speak. He's got a way about talking and explaining things kind of like Jeff does that makes it easy for you to understand and makes it fun at the same time. So
Darwin is more thorough and technically correct.
Really? Wow, that's high praise coming from Dr. Jeff.
But Darwin, I wanted to tell you a story and then see if you can tell us a story. So some people don't know this, but I actually I dropped out of school for a while, and I was a construction worker. And this one time, I was working on this big giant concrete beach house, and we got to it's like it was like 3 stories, and we built it like a parking garage. And then we got to the part where we had to put the facade on, and they set up scaffolding all around it. And so I get to work on the scaffolding, like put in the windows, do the stucco, and but they cheaped out on the scaffolding, and they didn't get as many pieces as you really needed for like that much scaffold, and they didn't have enough of the rails around the edge. And so we had this 18-year-old kid who was working there, and one afternoon towards the end of the day, he just stepped right off and fell
no.
3 stories, and he nearly lost his leg, but he did survive, which was very lucky.
Wow.
So like, yeah, but like that was just an example of like this like incredibly chintzy choice that left an accident waiting to happen. And I just wonder, like, do you feel like there are things like that in the cannabis industry, or like maybe not?
Great question.
Unfortunately, I would say that it's probably more common than it should be, right? Easiest thing to, it's certainly a reality. Extractors are without standards, without even though there certainly are, right, without the regulatory enforcement to look at them and really assess pressure vessels and that type of stuff, right? I mean, that's why we have these standards, but there is a lot of cheap vessels and extraction systems out there. Cheap metal, right?
So how would you say that producers protect themselves from that kind of risk, right? Like they don't want to be stupid and overpay, right? But how do they make the right choice and mitigate their risks and put the right amount of railing on the scaffold without like overpaying or like, being suckers to somebody? How do they know they're making the right choice?
Well, I mean, worker safety isn't proprietary, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of these things are, though certainly the weed tax, right, when that was a major thing, it still kind of is, but I think it's calmed down a bit, right? But like that's what I mentioned earlier regarding the hydrocarbon extraction. Like C1D1 safety systems are not cheap. Keeping them maintained and functioning is not cheap. Right, and that's so like hydrocarbon's great, right? It's fast, it's sexy. You can get all these live resins and all the things, right? A good technician with a small setup can do some pretty phenomenal stuff. But that quickly becomes, okay, how often are you maintaining those seals? How often do you actually clean in place? How often have you actually done maintenance on the pump? Because that's a dead technician that's going to happen at any day. Because like whether it was poor maintenance procedures or because someone went cheap when they shouldn't have somewhere, right? And in this case, like with extraction systems, to your point, like how can you avoid getting taken for a ride? I think it's knowing that there are certain cost ranges to think about when you're hearing equipment, right? And something that's properly stamped and certified is going to cost you 4 times as much. So like
what kind of certifications should people look for on their equipment?
Well, so like you would see, we work with a group called ASTM International. ASTM International creates.
I think I've heard of them.
But when it comes to things like pressure vessels, in this case, we're talking about the American Society for Mechanical Engineers. You may know that better as the acronym ASME. And ASME, they have an entire classification system for types of vessels based on the pressures that they are to see and on their shapes. So like because the geometry affects the forces that these types of vessels will see, whether or not they will, how they pop, basically, right? When they see too much pressure or
is it
too little pressure.
spherical? Yeah, is it spherical or tubular or those are different.
And many of these things are cold, right? Sub 40 C or Fahrenheit having
or they undergo thermal stress, quick changes
all the time, right? And that means your welds can crack. That means the vessels themselves will see fatigue stresses. And that doesn't mean you're going to see a failure from buying a cheap vessel or a cheap extractor from whatever, .com the first time or the second time.
But especially those stamps, right? And understanding the pressure ratings and the pressures you're really generating.
And why those are important.
That's what you would consider to be the most important guidelines for people, or like operators setting up and making sure their setup is safe.
Yes, 100%. Can you guys hear me okay? I had a phone call, and
no
how
problem.
dare they?
Well, you're just so popular.
Actually, you know what? It's that suspected spam. They've been calling a lot, though.
I think that you're special to them.
Well, so that's kind of what I meant by the 4x cost, right? So you can get the extractor, and it's going to cost, from wherever.com, 10 grand, 50 grand, whatever the cost. Let's just say 100 grand, just for the sake of argument, right? That's your whole complete system, kit and caboodle, right? All the things. Well, if you put the appropriate safety standards, and by safety standards and by stamps, that means somebody's putting their license, their personal liability and company liability onto that vessel if a failure occurs, right? That's the difference here. That's why it's important, because if something goes wrong, right? That's why people sue the architect and the engineering and the engineering firms that build buildings when they collapse when they weren't supposed to, stuff like that. These are all, again, I guess, risk mitigation strategies where you can point the finger somewhere else, right? When the liability goes down. But
it's not just about pointing the finger someplace else. When there's that accountability, the results are really different, right?
Yeah, you got it exactly right, Jeff. And that goes back to what I think you were alluding to earlier with the labs, right, and how data can be done in a lot of different ways. But labs do amazingly well when they have the flashlight looking at them, right? Or when the inspectors are there looking at them, all of a sudden, the data trends. Whoa, how did that happen? And it's because someone's watching, right? And the accountability is there. So it translates all the way to the equipment as well. And so that $100,000 extractor, right, with the right stamps, the right certifications and seals, is going to be most likely $400,000, an easy 4x just for the thing. And then you got to put it in a box that's going to keep the rest of your facility environment safe. And that's probably going to also cost that X amount, that $400,000 to $500,000 just to keep people safe from your extraction system. That's going to, that also is itself a hazard potentially. So, you shouldn't buy cheap equipment, though. You should get equipment that's your right size, right? You don't go too big, because idle equipment costs money. You really do need to know your target market, your accessible market share, right? And your actual processing volume, your capacity to intake material, process that, and output product. And because again, all of that builds into the systems that you need to put in place. And and then there are certainly places where you can save on some money. You don't have to buy overly complicated, restrictive, automated systems, right, that require a technician from Germany you have to hire, right, to sit right in front of that thing the entire time. That's absurd. There are smart, efficient ways to use your money to buy equipment or proper equipment wisely, right? But when it comes to safety, that's something you shouldn't be going cheap on.
Yeah, you shouldn't skimp on safety. You'll learn to live to regret it. Don't make those choices.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a hyperbole, right? We've seen employees die. We're starting to see the larger companies get sued, right? And smaller companies. It's just that obviously larger entities can deal with personal liability suits a lot more easily than a smaller mom and pop operator.
Sure.
So if a mom and pop operator has an issue with a hydrocarbon extractor or other types of issues, right, it's probably a big deal.
Yeah.
We have officially hit the 1 hour mark on the live stream, which is we're now entering what I like to call the pants optional portion of the show, where we just kind of let things.
We're just now there.
No, we've been doing it the whole time. Dr. Jeff just chimed in, and yeah, my pants fell off like 30 minutes earlier.
Thank goodness.
What I'd like to do now is start this off with a joke. If you guys have a joke, Darwin looks like he's like, I'm ready for this joke. I'm just waiting for somebody to ask me to tell a joke. So I'm going to tell a joke, and then that will prompt you guys to chime in with a joke as well, right? That's how jokes work.
Oh, yeah, I got one. I got it queued up.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'll go first, and then you can go. So there's a couple guys walking around in the desert, right? And one of them's a scientist. They see a bar. They walk into the bar, and the scientist walks up to the bar, and the bartender says, "What do you have?" And the scientist says, "I will have some H2O." And the second guy says, "I'll have some H2O too." The second guy died.
Oh no!
Hydrogen peroxide.
Oh no! The hydrogen peroxide joke.
Hydrogen peroxide. Okay.
Yes. Is that like a chemistry dad joke?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, he drank like pure oxidant. Oh, it's so terrible.
Don't worry, mine is way worse, David.
Oh, awesome! I can't wait for this.
Super cheesy, very cheesy. Right. So, what does one atheist say to another when they sneeze?
I don't know what.
God bless you. What else would you say?
Okay. Oh, that's terrible. All right.
Very logical.
Well done. Yeah. That's like a spin on the where do they bury the survivors joke in the plane crash. You've heard that one, right? You don't bury the survivors.
Oh, yeah. Like the logic. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Sort of that's one of those. The joke is on you.
Right. Yeah, for sure. You got something on deck, Jeff? You got something to share with us?
Well, I mean, I was trying to think of like a good chemistry joke.
I stole your joke, didn't I? You were going to tell the one that I said.
Well, the problem is all of the good chemistry jokes are gone.
That's
a noble guess.
Yeah, that's
well done.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I came here. With cruelty in my heart, and
I think Jeff wins the joke off. What do you think, Dark?
That was pretty good. Yeah.
I think mine hurt more. I'm not sure about anything else.
That was wonderful. I enjoyed it very much. I got a couple of questions. Even though we're in the pants optional portion of the show, I did want to ask, and maybe this is a question that both you gentlemen can answer. Looking at consumer behavior right now, what is the most illogical or surprising trend you've seen in cannabis purchasing? It doesn't have to be in Missouri, but cannabis purchasing.
I don't know why fruity flavored infused pre-rolls is like the hottest thing right now.
Oh, okay. Why did you steal mine, Darwin?
Oh, that's...
It's just sad.
It's so, that's where we're going, man. I was going to agree with the same. That's exactly what I was thinking. Is recently I bought this pack of infused pre-rolls. I actually didn't realize they were infused before I bought it. I was like shopping fast on the website. Just I like to try random shit all the time. And they smelled like peach rings when I opened it. And then I learned that these are like insanely popular.
Oh, yeah.
Disgusting. Yeah. They're insanely popular. I've tried to explain to kids that this is like Four Loko and you don't want to be the Four Loko guy. and they kind of get it, but like, yeah.
I don't think mine is necessarily a trend. I think it's just kind of a consumer, a process. It's just that most consumers are so concerned about what's the most THC I can get for the lowest price. They don't even look at the terms or other things that are going on.
Yep, that's a vicious cycle.
I think that's actually kind of like a part of this whole like fruity infused pre-rolls thing too, right? Like it's always about like the number that's on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's how they're able to get the higher numbers, right? Is they're using like infused distillates. So basically the same shit they're putting in your vape cart, they're now just putting it in your pre-roll.
Yeah.
Yep. Your infused pre-roll. Yeah. Well done.
Yeah.
What do you think about the show so far? Have you enjoyed yourself, Darwin?
Yeah, this has been great. I do have a dog that's been looking at me like I need to take a poop. So that's my only problem is that I do think I'm going to need to leave soon. But I'm happy to answer 1 or 2 more questions.
Oh, well, Jeff, I will let you have the floor because you look like
all right. Yeah. Well, I did have one more question for Darwin. So, I mean, we've talked about thinking logically for operators and a little bit about consumers and some of their illogical practices. So, like, how do you apply your logic and data-driven approaches to your own consumption and managing your tolerance and keeping a productive and happy lifestyle? How does that work? Or doesn't it? Is it a totally different thing?
Great question. So
that's a good question.
I know how to answer how I maintain a happy and productive lifestyle. That's by dabbing all day, every day.
Okay. All right. So dabbing all day, every day is one part of your method. And so you got that dialed in. Like, did it take you a while to figure out like the right level or did you just or did you just always home in on it organically?
It's kind of just organically, which means I just muscled my way through it. So it's really kind of interestingly funny in this case, right? I would say everybody needs to like do a little bit of Teslaing in their life, right? So like Tesla did a whole bunch of theory before he ever did any experiment, right? And was able to do some amazingly crazy stuff by doing theory before doing the experiment, right? That's certainly how I apply and do like standards development and everything out in the real world. I would say personally, I Edison my way through life, where I basically smash everything against the wall until I figure out what doesn't break.
Nice.
So complete opposite. So effectively, so when I take a dab, I don't have a fancy thing with the analog temperature readout and all of the and everything like that because I've seen those tend to like the atomizer units of those tend to burn out faster, and then you're just buying more of the super expensive bowl for the dab rig. So I have found that the slightly less sophisticated, so the color indicators of heat, whatever that means, right, increasing of voltage. I found that I don't want to do super hot dabs, right, Jeff? Because then it burns everything, and my lungs like cough, and I'm hacking up.
Yeah.
But I don't like the concept of you need to waste it to taste it. I'm a very frugal consumer. I'm old now. I'm like 40, right? I come definitely from the days when we scraped glass bowls for resin to smoke.
Yes, I did that too. Yeah.
So I'm not. I really can't.
A long time ago.
Yes, many eons ago. But I still can't like when there's like all of that liquid still left in my dab rig and just go swab it up with the the cotton swab or whatever to clean it up.
Firing up another time, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Just turn the heat up just a smidgen more.
Yeah.
Sloppy
I think it's
Um,
safe
are
up
so
to about
good.
650, isn't it? 650 degrees is you don't want to go any higher than that.
Ooh. Fahrenheit. Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Fahrenheit.
Oh, Celsius,
If
man.
you're up over 500 Celsius, you're really fucked, homie. All right, like you did something
Your
really
dab rig
wrong.
is probably going to melt.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's my
if it's
question
close,
then.
it'll be all right. But
What's your preferred consumption method? You said dab rig. What are you dabbing with there, Darwin?
I use a Dr. Dabber Boost Evo with their quartz lines or sapphire bowl. So it's it's an fancy it's an all stainless induction powered bowl that has a quartz separation between the actual steel face of it, right? So it's kind of like a glass lined reactor vessel, which would be the most it's super inert type of reactor vessels you might find out there, right? So it doesn't even touch the stainless. And yeah, I like that because it's just three pieces: the mouthpiece, the bowl, and then the battery unit. And it's super robust. I've had two of them. One of my units burned out, and then I complained, and they sent me a new one. So without any question. So yeah, great customer service, super robust unit. It works.
tell them you know Darwin.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Tell them Darwin sent you.
I can't get you any discounts because I don't even get one.
Not
Josh
yet.
told me to send me a free dab rig.
That's why we need people to tell. That's why we need people to mention your name when they place their order. All right.
I'll give
So
him a
you can
call,
have the
Darwin.
power.
I'll give him a call. I'll put in a good
Yeah.
word for you, brother.
For sure.
You'll be
But
repping
yeah,
before
that's
you know.
and I'm a dry dabber.
There you go. Yeah, no water. All right.
No,
Okay.
no water. Yeah.
All right.
I'm the same way. How about you, Jeff? Quickly, what's your preferred method of consumption?
Oh, I actually I love smoking joints. I smoke a lot of joints.
So wasteful.
Blunts. Blunts. That's my thing. Even more wasteful.
I like it. I don't
Me
know.
too.
I don't like to combust inside, and I don't like to walk around outside with some piece of glass. Like I don't know. It's like nothing looks stupider than that to me. So but walking around with a cigarette, all right, that's cool. I mean, always has been, always will be, timeless. So you know,
Right.
it's just about timeless style. Okay, so yeah, so I love smoking joints. But but I do have like I have like the Puffco Peak and the Puffco Proxy. I like these e-rigs.
Yeah.
They're like nice and convenient and cool, and I like those ones. So but I don't know, like I yeah I like other people's rigs too, and I'm not very particular. I actually really enjoy seeing like the variety of everything and all the great glassware that people come up with.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I guess we can probably put a pin in this. And if before we go, if you guys would like to provide a quick testimonial about how awesome your experience has been on the show, that'd be great. Darwin, would you like to tell everybody about how amazing it's been and how this has improved your life? If you don't have a comment ready, I have one queued up for you right here. You can just read it off the screen.
Oh, wow, Dave came prepared.
Okay, hold on. All right. Forget logic. This show rocks. Dave brings the heat and the real talk. Best podcast in the sector, period. You'll be illogical not to listen. Live long and process.
That's awesome.
Yes. Oh man.
Nice.
Catchphrase inserted at the end.
Almost.
That's good. That's good.
No, that was a really good first take, dude. Like honestly, for a one take, yeah, you nailed it.
There's one for you, Dr. Jeff. Another unscripted testimonial.
I'm not going to do as well as Darwin. Oh man. Okay. All right. But here we go. All right. Delivery. Okay. Forget the lab. This is where the real chemistry happens. Dave's show is explosive, insightful, and just plain fun. Highest recommendation. Yeah. Weedcast.
All right. Okay, a final thought is that Darwin, I would, just like Jeff has come back to be a co-host, I'd like to invite you to come back on the show at a future date to be a co-host. We'll figure something out. Yeah, I'd love to have you. And Jeff, if you guys ever have something that's exciting and upcoming that you want to, let people know about, just let me know. I'll get you back on the show. I'd love to have you guys back. So thanks so much for being on the show, both you gentlemen. It was we went off the rails on this one early, but I was kind of expecting that would happen, and it was off the rails in a great way. Good show, guys. Well done. Thank you.
Sure. Well, I had a great time, David. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, gentlemen. Take care.
Bye.
All right.